A very good morning to respected dignitaries and everyone present here. On this 15th National HR Meet, I, Vedehi Dhonkarya, take immense pleasure to introduce to you all our guest, Mr. Chari. Sir started his career as a manager, management accounting at AFL, and is currently serving as the group head and chief executive officer at ECS Mastercard. So has diverse experience of more than 23 years with well-rounded exposure to service business streams and sectors ranging from logistics, banking, travel, retail banking, financial institutions, and business process outsourcing. In the past, Sir has worked in Hong Kong, Taiwan, Dubai, Singapore, and has also been exposed to the Asia Pacific, Middle East, and the Latin American region. Sir has also held various senior positions, including the Chief Executive Officer at Network International and key management roles at American Express and Carlson Wagonlit. Sir has been a part of the Mastercard family for 2 years. In his earlier role, Sir worked towards strengthening the regional market development and specially focused on building alliances in the processing vertical and worked on regional initiatives on mergers and acquisitions. Sir is also an alumni of Bradford University, from where he pursued his MBA, specializing in marketing. Sir is equipped with skills and expertise in portfolio management, payment systems, business development, and credit risk. He also specializes in making organizations market leaders and leading product and services and energizing people to deliver beyond expectations. Now, it's my privilege to invite our honorable guest to the podium as we all look forward to his wonderful insights from the corporate world. Sir, the podium is all yours.
Good morning. I'm very honored to be here, and I know Bala sir now for 25 years, or probably a little longer, and I know him from when I started working. He was my teacher, he was my mentor, and I feel so honored and proud to be here that he's a mentor and teacher for you all as well. And you can certainly expect to do better than what I have done, because you're in very good hands. What struck me today was, like I'm just reflecting back, that if I had to have, and I have my colleague as well who's sitting here, and I'm just thinking through, if I had to have an address like this for 5, maybe 7 people that work in the organization today that I am, in Pune, would I be able to do a fantastic job like this? Can I make them all sit quiet? Can I give them an award of attendance that they come to work every day? Can I have them listen in expectation of, with a view of learning and getting knowledge and wisdom? I'll reserve my comments and probably have Rukuma talk to me later about it, but so and very aptly probably I have changed the way I come to talk to you all. I come here numerous times before, and I've spoken on things that probably, and I have got this feedback many times, that I speak on things that people don't understand. It's too complex that I speak. I talk of a lot of things that's very complicated. The world's very complicated. And I talk of consumer banking and what's happening to consumer behaviors and what's driving change in people's minds to interact the way they interact when they're transacting and completing a payment experience. So what I've done is that I've changed this year completely to a very different topic, and Rukuma has helped me put this together because she's of an age where she can relate to you guys. I'm of an age where I can't, so I took her help and she's helped me put together something that I'm going to share with you. And I'll also try to put in a lot of my experience that I have to make you understand that life is not as easy as you think it is here. And you may think that you have bad teachers, you have tough classes, you have tough assignments. Life is even worse outside when you go to work. Right? So I'll start with that thought, and I'm not going to scare you with it, but I'm trying to make you understand. And maybe this is what you would do when you are at the end of your college life here. But I took the opportunity to say, why not set the context right and talk to you at the start of itself as to what you will end 2 years from now with. Right? So it's going to be very different, and I'm not sure this is what you were expecting, but I can come back to you, and if you expect something different to hear from me, I will come back to you and talk to you about it. The other thing that I want to put on record is that Bala sir has been my teacher. He taught me and he gave me my first break in teaching as well. Right? So I was studying in BIMM and I was a student, and he also encouraged me to get into teaching. Right? And he gave me my first assignment, but I got a check of 50 rupees for teaching. And then he looked with surprise at me and he said, don't worry, you'll make a lot of money out of this. Right? So I know where my retirement is going to come from. Right? So that was the first experience very early in life, and I know that I have a profession to go back to when I retire. However, during the course of that interaction, I made a great friend, and you will as well in your life when you interact with people and you go through situations, you pick some and you drop some. But try to keep those relationships that you cherish, whether in good times or bad times. Encourage that you inculcate that habit of reaching out. This is a big difference to the way you live today, and certainly in 20 years when you are in the same situation I am in, I'm sure 95% of you would have got burnt out and your ability to reach out would be negative. So I'll leave this thought and I come back to my presentation. I don't know why I had to tell you this, but I thought I should. Right? Okay, so I don't know whether you can see, it's a little blurred for me there on top, but if you can't see, don't worry, I will use the presentation to talk you through. It's very interesting. So when I was at your age as well, and I was in college, for me, the whole thing of employment, and I can go a little back. So when I was a kid, I was growing up in a very small town. Right? Very little expectation from life because everything used to fall in place. We wouldn't study. We would be a bunch of kids who would just play around all the time. So we used to play a lot of marbles. Okay. And then we would play a lot of cricket. And we'd do all those things that you would normally do as a kid, right? So, and it went up right up to the college time, so time like what you are in, right? So we were not even sure what you're going to do ahead. And my mother would always be very proud of me, saying that I'll be a blank clerk one day. So she even told me that if you get a job and you take a government job, go to a bank, work as a clerk, as a cashier, you made in life. right? Now, if I look back and say, what was my expectation at that time, it was an extension of my college life, right? So it's easy, things will fall in place, nothing to worry about the world. But I'm sure things are very different today, 30 years from now on. But the thinking is still the same. You need to have a big and a nice job. So you don't really care what's in the job, but when you get the offer letter, you say, I need to get those top brands that I need to work with. Right? It's a trap that we all get into. The place that you go to is going to be a fun place to work. So a lot of the employees are going to come to you, talk of the brand, talk of what the organization does, talk of all the good things that's going to attract you to stay back and work, right? And that's what you also expect, what you get out of your job. And then you also think, because you in college you met so many new people, you had fun time as well as working hard to study, the place of work will also be the same. But if you flip and see what the organization wants you to do, and this is reality, okay? Day one that you get into the organization, we all expect that the tire has to hit the road. The rubber hits the road from the day you come into work, right? You've got to be a lot more proactive, and you need to innovate. Now, just reflect back. So when you're in college, yes, there are systems and processes and mechanisms that are going to teach you how the corporate life is going to be. There are things that happen like this event that teaches you how organized and disciplined you got to be, and if it's got to feel good and make everybody happy, both the recipient and the performer, this needs to be of a class that raises the expectation for the next event. So it's the same thing in the corporate. So the learning stops and the tire hits the road. However, there's a huge mismatch from the first day itself, right? You may get the brand, you may get a place where you think it's fun to work, but just wait, what happens? And reality is that today you are here because you think you'll get your dream job by going through what you're going through here today. And it's preparing you to get to your dream job. I can tell you one thing, certainly what I have been through and what I've seen, that no matter how good you're at school, and there's no reflection on the academic process of learning, there's no reflection on what the institutions give you, but life is very, very different. It will never prepare you for the work environment. And it can never. Because the situations are very different. The dynamics that play are very different, both internal and external. And you thought your teachers are bad. The assignment submissions are bad. They make you slog and work so hard. And interesting, I'm reflecting back. So when I was driving to this place, so they said 12, 14, 16 hours we spend, we prepare, there's so much of classroom teaching happening. You think that's bad enough? I can tell you for sure, it's by choice or by design that today I don't have personal time. Because of the time zones, because of the way the organizations are spread out, because of the global nature of the expectation of the job, either I'm on phone calls even when I'm with my kids, or even if I'm here, a part of my mind is telling me there's something happening in the office I need to attend to, whether it's an email, whether it's a response that I have to send to a customer or the other stakeholders. So it's even worse, right? However, one thing is for sure, that people do well, so I have done well, Bala sir has done well. We live in the same situation, the environment is the same, context is the same where we came from, and what we expected out, what we would want to do. But certainly what will make the difference is the skills, the applicability of the skills, the attitude towards the applicability and the skills that you have, built on influencing and collaborating and working in teams, on a very solid foundation of ethics. And it's interesting in corporate life how, in the overall context, ethics plays a big role. I mean, I would dilute it by saying it's important and it's a key enabler for you to succeed. But I can tell you for sure that if you play long innings, you play well, you play by the rule book, and it's fully driven by ethics, you'll never lose in your career or where you end in life when you retire. Certainly, there are some advantages that you have, which is part of the system that you're going through, whether it's to do with the ability to adapt to technology, the ease of which you can work on electronic communication methods, the ease on which you could build societal connects, the ability for you to work on multi streams of technology adeptly as compared to my generation. So there is an advantage that you have. There's another advantage you have, which we probably, because of the way we were living in our times and what we have built into the silos, is the ability to reach out informally. A lot of the times when we work today, we go through the formal communication method. But in your age, it's completely informal. It's driven by society, it's driven by peer-to-peer discussions, engagement, views. You would want to do a selfie and upload what you did. I don't know who's interested, but you would want to do that, right? So the change that you have to reach out informally is much higher and much better than probably of my generation. So it becomes very easy for you to interact with people. It becomes for you very easy to work on the empathy and the emotional quotient. However, there's one thing that becomes critical in this piece is that a lot of times, because of the seamless borders dropping down, the organizations become global, multi-locational, multi-region, and the ability that you have on the informal basis to reach out comes in handy. It's a great advantage. I can tell you for sure, we went through an exercise. So this is the company that I work for got acquired by Mastercard in May this year. So we are going through all the cultural mapping, cultural assessments. So we're trying to see on the 8 competencies that we think drive cultures in organizations. And we're trying to map as to where Mastercard is and where our aspiration is as Mastercard to where this company is, right? And there was one big challenge that we are looking at is how do you integrate this asset into a global asset, right? This was a very culturally localized Indian context company, and we're trying to now put it into a global context. And one thing that has happened for sure is that there is a barrage of things that is happening and putting a lot of discomfort around people here. I can tell you for sure, and Rukma is here from the old, she could probably reflect back that she has probably seen, heard a lot more people coming from the US, from Singapore, from Middle East, coming and talking to all the 600 people, and they are wondering, these guys are nuts. So many people coming and talking to us, telling us about culture, how great Mastercard is, how we build careers, what opportunities we give. However, because of the nature in which the communication worked before, there is a little bit of a disconnect. And reflecting back to you, probably if you were the same set of people, I think it would have been much easier that by the first week, you would have probably already mapped out yourself to all the people in Mastercard, and you would have shared with them your selfies and your pictures and what you do and what they do and things like those, right? So it's a huge change, right? So I'm just reflecting back the 2 contexts to say how you would react to it and how we react today, right? So you're in a great advantage. It puts you in a very sweet spot. The other thing is to do with the whole social media. Right? I can talk as much I want on it. There's so much to talk about the whole social media and what's happening, how behaviors are being driven, how investments are being made. It's very funny. I'm from a traditional M&A philosophy. If you have an asset which has no revenue, if the cash flows are not good, if the future 5-year projections don't make a positive EBIT, I will not give a multiple. But if you look at what Amazon and Google and everybody else is paying for WhatsApp, $2 billion or $28 billion or $50 billion for something which is driven by society and social media. I really don't know whether there is economics around it and whether there is logic in doing it, but certainly people see the benefit and you're part of that benefit, right? So there is a huge advantage that you have today as compared to what we brought in or what's there in the organization. And in terms of your readiness, so what could you do to prepare yourself, right? So you have all these good things. That there is a context that I said saying that the work life is going to be as bitchy as your school and college life. Things are going to be very, very different. But, you know, every good thing has the downside as well. If you don't play it right, you may lose out. And I'll just paint a picture saying what could happen to you, right? If you have these advantages, you know how the world's moving, and you know how prepared you will be with all the people coming and talking to you and telling you what is right and what you should do and shouldn't do. But certainly I can tell you is I'm not a good technologist, right? I don't understand technology. But I'm running a technology company. My shareholders have a belief that I'll do a better job than a guy who understands technology. It's primarily for a single reason. I know why. It's my skill and ability to understand how I can convert and put to use the technology that's around me to make money for my shareholders. So remember one thing, that you may be competent on a skill that corporations are looking for. You may be very strong in technology, but if you don't extend beyond what that skill could be used for, you may not be relevant. All the analytical and the computing power and the ability to connect trends, it's all driven by technology. However, and you will see for yourself when you're going through your classrooms and when they're doing all the case study and you're trying to see what works and doesn't work, you will realize that the ability to take risk, which I can tell you once at the end of your second year, your ability to take risk will be negative. Because you're chasing a dream to get the big brand, you're chasing a dream to get your big job, and all of them kill your ability to innovate. So I leave a thought with you that don't go after the big bangs if you want to make life and if you want to be happy. Second, look for what will make you happy in building that risk appetite in you, that you take your chances and bets and you innovate. Right? And don't let your thinking into a process which you'll get sucked into by the brand, because for sure they will not let you innovate and think. And if you are a person who's willing to take risks and you want to innovate and you want to do a lot of new things that you think your competency and ability can help build for the organization, then don't go for the brand. I know, I'm not talking sense to a lot of you, but certainly you will remember me 20 years from now. Even if 4 or 5 of you went with the risks to the brand, you will remember what I'm saying today. And this has been a huge amount of discussion around, and certainly I read some discussions in the management schools happening where Flipkarts and Snapdeal and those individuals, and I've come and talked to individuals saying, how did they create a $1 billion, $5, $6, $10 billion company? The primary reason why they created was they took the risk. They went against the tide. So Dilbert is my favorite, and I'm the rat in Dilbert. And I'll read it out to you. I don't know whether you can see it, but this is the management discussion happening in a leadership meeting room. And they're talking about the next big idea. It's like the big data idea. Okay. Excuse me, I'm only an intern. You can see who the intern is? Okay, so that's you and me when we were getting into a job. Right? But may I make a suggestion? Let's form a multidisciplinary task force to re-engineer our core processes until we are a world-class organization. Sounds good, go do it. I'm more of an idea rat. So I'll leave this thought with you. And clearly I can tell you is that there are a few things that you should take away. Right? And this is experiences and this is good for you to reflect back. So when you get into work, right, keep your personal life from professional life. Your personal life is fun. Don't treat your professional life as fun. So don't expect what you had in college, you'll have at workplace. Don't let a bad day at work ruin your day at home, and vice versa. It's very important. Sometimes it's so fungible that we mix the two and we are very unhappy, right? So somehow you need to split yourself up into two pieces. It's debatable whether it's good or bad, but out of experience I can tell you is that for me, and Bala sir knows my wife, like she always says that I'm emotionless when I get home. I don't talk anything what happens at work, right? And I can flip from a bad day to a good day in a second, right? So you need to somehow get to that situation where you split the two situations and you don't mingle the two. It's difficult, but try learning doing it. There's one more aspect that I would want to share. You know, with all this happening on the societal engagement, on peer-to-peer, whether through WhatsApp, Facebook, we try to put a lot of things out, right? And it's very important that a lot of the things which are personal need to be personal, and whatever is professional need to be professional. So ideas that are intellectual property for a company and you're part of it, you cannot put on Facebook. You cannot take it home. You're working or building on a sensitive project, you cannot talk at home because it's intellectual. Right? It's very subtle, and I can share with you is when I used to be in investment banking, it was a very common thing to take and entertain clients out. It's all in the net, and you can Google after I go out. You can check the case on Morgan Stanley employee, a very highly rated investment banker. When he mixed his personal and professional aspirations into a dinner meeting, where it landed him. And that was the first time in corporate history in investment banking that somebody got fired for doing something which is not ethical at a time which is personal. But because it was not part of the code of conduct of the company, and they expect you to be ambassadors even when you are in your personal life, it can have difficult consequences. So don't mix the two. The other thing is that when you're new into any organization, even here, don't be too eager to help. Right? Or don't be too eager to make an impression with the help. First think through what you can do with it. Because the moment you say you can help, organizations immediately expect an outcome. So it doesn't mean that you will sit back and think all the time and say, do I help or don't help, but take the bet, because I told you, people who take risks and who are able to influence and collaborate and extend a hand beyond their expected course of action are the people who get recognized and people who get wanted. And I leave you with this thought that always remember why you were hired. Just remember that, why you were hired. And always remember and work as if you're still being interviewed. I can tell you that every time I have posted for a job, it's very interesting, and I'm sharing with you. I have lived now in 5 or 6 countries. I have changed some 8 or 10 employers. I have changed 18 houses that I've lived in 25 years. I put my family to a lot of stress. But every time that I've gone through a change, I've ensured that I've engaged my family, we've discussed things out, and I have prepared as if I'm going for an interview. Even though these were assignments given to me, but certainly I have prepared as if I'm going for an interview. And I still do. And I'm sure Rukuma can reflect back because she's sitting here. So even if I have to come here today, I've been preparing from the day I was told I have to come here. So I have a script. I have to think through what I'm going to do and not going to do. And I'm treating this as an interview because I'm selling myself to you. Even after 25 years of work, I still believe that once you are hired, continue to work as if you're still being interviewed. Thank you very much.
So, your thoughts on getting started in corporate world?
Okay, I just one more thought came to me, and again reflecting back to my association with Bala sir. I can tell you my first salary was 1750. Okay, I will not tell you what my salary is today, but I'll let your imaginations run wild. But I can certainly tell you that it's far beyond what my mother thought that I would be a bank clerk to what I am today. She's no longer with me, but God bless her and bless me as well. But I'm so thankful to God for His mercies, and the friends that I have with me. It's not a coincidence that I know Bala sir for 30 years, but that's what is life. So cherish, like I said, friends that you make along, so that when you reflect back, when you are at your end of your life, you still have them with you. Thank you.
So thank you for your thoughtful words.
Ladies and gentlemen,